Hello Internet, this is Alex Lightning, and this is the first ever Lightning review. This review will be of the new DLC for Metro Last Light, the Faction Pack, which includes 3 extra DLC missions of the various factions in the Metro. Interestingly enough, they actually forgot one, which I actually really wanted to see, but they got the main ones. So, first I'm going to go into why this review show here. I'm going to review any games that come along playing, or any games or major DLC like this that I come along playing that I'm not going to go out of my way to get a review, but I am going to review anything that I think that I played and I think is pretty good and want to spread the word about. Now, this DLC is, as I said, 3 new missions. 3 new missions, if you can call it that. But it is supposed to, the theory behind it is to explain and show different sides of the Metro through storytelling and all that with the other factions. Didn't really do that, and I will get into that later. Let's go here. The price is $5 or your regional equivalent. So, not bad. This is definitely one of the better price per performance DLCs that we've actually seen this year. But I'll get into that later. So I think I'm just going to run through the missions and give a quick rundown on them. And, this is where it gets tough here. First up is the Nazi mission, the Reich mission. You play as a Nazi heavy. I'm going to get into this. So, it literally throws you right into the fight. You have about maybe not even 5 seconds cutscene where you're literally driving down a train track at 90 miles per hour and just crash through the door there with a machine gun. And that is it. You just basically shoot non-stop. There's no... enemies walk right at you. Take a look at this last cutscene to the game, because this is pretty much what it's going to look like.
One tank smoking! Heil Reich! Heil!
It is generally boring. It is not fun at all, and people don't really play Metro for the gunplay, really. I mean, it did significantly improve in Last Light, don't get me wrong, but they still don't play Metro for the gunplay. It has about maybe 10 feet of playable area that you can walk around in. I think the last mission, which many people think is actually the worst part of the campaign, and then imagine that but worse. At least it made sense in the campaign. I thought that it was okay. The actual ending kind of seemed like they ran out of budget right there, but it was okay. I'm not too mad at that. But this just was not good. We had problems with the tank. You will eventually have to fight, shot through walls. The weapons are interesting, but boring. They have a grenade launcher that literally launches your grenades, the little dynamite grenades, which you are required to use to take out the tank. Can't take it out any other way. I was actually trying to do what you do in the last mission and shoot out the tires, but apparently they don't want you doing that. And thankfully, though, it was very short. It'll take you 10 minutes at most, and I'm very glad about that, because that was an abomination. And really shouldn't be. That's not... I guess it's a good way to kill 10 minutes in the Metro universe, but it's not good. Let's get on to the next one. This would be the Communist Reds mission. This one's a little bit more in-depth here. It is fairly scripted. It's pretty much more of the same. And what I don't like, mandatory stealth. And I mean, I like stealth, but it should be mandatory. Metro is all about giving you freedom. Kind of like, I hate to say this because it was not my favorite game, but kind of like Crisis 2. Something like that. Crisis 2 and 3. But that's the thing here, this illusion of freedom. The thing is, the game is all about giving you the freedom to play your way. I mean, you can go through the entire game without killing anybody, and there's not many games that can do that. I know Fallout New Vegas comes to mind right away, but so even still, like, okay, yeah, stealth is mandatory, and even still, you want to snipe that guy in a tower? Nope, gotta kill that other guy on the roof before you're allowed to. Want to take out the guys in anything other than the required order? Nope, because you'll pretty much fail the mission. Want to go in guns blazing? Definitely no. In fact, you can't even pick up a gun. You can't pick up a new gun from the enemies that they drop. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous. But wait! It's okay. They give you all the freedom back, because guess what? Yeah, guess what? They now give you the ability to open doors. Any doors. As long as they have the right texture and don't have a lock on them. But you can open doors now. Incredible. But wait, there's more! They weren't just content with giving you the ability to open doors. They gave you so much freedom that you can even choose to open the door slow or fast. Incredible. It's so great that the devs let us determine how fast we want to open a door. There are also quite a few bugs and glitches in this, and I can't believe some of these made it through playtesting. It seems more like not so great of a mod made in a short amount of time by a single guy than a real Metro level, and actually that is probably what happened. I mean, I don't know the story, but that is immediately would come to mind for me. There was one point where you have to climb up a ladder, and it is literally the only way you can go. And there's a metal pole over the top of the ladder. Just there. I mean, there's no way you can squeeze through a little tiny opening in it. It's just blocking up the ladder. But, you just climb up right through it. Just there, looking there, doesn't actually render it or something like that. Just crawl right through it. And considering that's the only way to go in a really linear way, I don't see how that could have... That just seems kind of stupid. Anyways, there were some other things though, like there was a light source coming out of nowhere. Basically, there were no light bulbs anywhere, but it acted like there was a light bulb there. Like the light shown there, could be seen from that area, but there's no light bulb to shoot out or anything like that. So at least it wasn't anywhere actually important. That's what I would say. It took me 15 to 25 minutes, somewhere around that length. I can't imagine it taking more than 30 minutes. At this point, the DLC was definitely a waste of money. This leaves the Ranger mission. Now, going into this mission, I had a really bad feeling. The last two missions did not impress me at all. I had hoped it would redeem it, but I didn't have high hopes. I mean, that first mission, the Reich mission, was an abomination of Metro, and the other one was pretty much just more of the same. I mean, you could get a little bit of enjoyment out of that. Good way to kill half an hour at most, but it wasn't really anything special. You start off as a new Polish Ranger, or Stalker, or whatever you are. I don't even know Stalker now, too, but I should mention that this mission will have players swimming in nostalgia. I mean, those that played the Stalker series will probably fall in love with this, since this is pretty much what they've wanted Metro to be. Actually, quite a few people have actually wanted Metro to be this DLC. I don't know about that, because there is pretty much no story in this DLC, but it is interesting. What this mission does is basically changes the entire game design. Rather than linear story-driven experience, this is an open-world survival game that basically, for lack of a better way of describing it, it's a mini Stalker. Okay, just like in Stalker, there is no hand-holding in this, none at all. Although it is a little more forgiving than Stalker, which is probably the reason that I can actually play, because I really did not like Stalker. I was not a fan. I can see why some people liked it, definitely, but I did not like it. Even though it seemed like a game that's right up my alley. Anyways, so you go up to the surface to hunt for artifacts. Very S.T.A.L.K.E.R-esque there. You bring them back to your base, which is located in a slightly more secure underground tunnels. The fact that you only have a small backpack means that you'll need to make a bunch of trips back and forth. You can't just go grab every artifact on the map right away. It will take a lot of trips, even for speedrunners and all those people, which this is probably going to have a lot of... it'll probably be pretty interesting to see speedruns of this. You don't find filters on the surface anymore, either. That is a big thing. That is the biggest change. You actually have limited time. And that is this is the first... This DLC had the first time that I've died in any Metro game for lack of filters. Because even in the other Metro games, you could use that, the glitch where you can take off your mask, breathe for a while, put it back on, take one breath, and you're back to full lung capacity. I don't know what you want to call it. You know, it had that little trick there. Excuse me. But this one was, this is actually timed. It got intense sometimes, and that is definitely a good change. I like that. Now, even on normal, ammo is a lot more rare. You can now loot mutants for ammo that they may have swallowed, which is kind of interesting. The game started to get kind of slow and dragged on when I was stuck trying to figure out how to get past this heavily radiated area. Very Stalker-esque, like I said. Having sold all the artifacts I had gotten, I thought I needed the radiation suit, which costs like 200 bullets. It took me a while to get it. When I finally did, I didn't realize that I needed to equip the suit, so I ended up trying to do stuff without the suit on anyways. Real waste of money there, but... So, out of frustration, I just ran across the radiated zone. What it really does is it'll damage you over time, and your filters will drain much faster. But I'll tell you in a second, there's a way you can kind of get by that, which is pretty fun. Anyways, so... yeah. Anyways, like... you really don't need a lot of the upgrades that they have, although... they can be extremely helpful later on in the game. Anyways, out of frustration, I just ran across the radiated zone and made it fine, I didn't ever need that suit, and I would have much preferred to have the heavy suit, which is the other upgradable option for your suit, which, heavy armor, pretty straightforward there. I would have greatly liked it for dealing with everyone's favorite cameo, the most dreaded part of 2033, Metro 2033, that is, by pretty much everybody. That goes back to the nostalgia here. This takes place right around Metro's scientific capital, Polis. So, pretty much the main focus of both these games, actually. Get back to Polis, I have to make it to Polis, blah 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 blah. Anyways, like the last game, you're going to the surface right by the Great Library, a location in the first game. And, right there, anybody who's played the first game is gonna know about this stuff here. You're gonna like that. So anyways, the detail is really nice. They didn't get everything perfect based on the things that you did in the first game. It did try, though. There's that window where the demon tried to break in, and the demon tried to get in. It's all boarded up. It's got like weeds overgrowing it and everything, but you can see that the window was broken into. All the bars are curved and all that. So that's pretty interesting. They have a nice little piece here with like your AI companions who show up at one point in the entire game, so don't really worry about it. They're not. And it actually was a pretty interesting part because it was a kind of halfway scripted. It was not scripted at all, but very clever use of being scripted, I guess. Half-Life 2 type thing, I guess. I think I'm rambling on a little bit. Back to the point here. You can actually see there's the door that the librarian broke through in the first game and scared the living shit out of me in that game. There's the same section of wall that RTM got grabbed by the librarian through, and now, very nostalgic, they make you get grabbed through that exact same wall in pretty much the exact same animation. Not sure if that's just laziness or, I don't know. It can't be laziness. I mean, that must have taken like 5 seconds to put in. Anyways, tons of nostalgia, and that includes the librarians. They are a little bit different in this game, but not much. I mean, it is the same engine, so it shouldn't have been too hard for them to actually port all this stuff. When you make it far enough through the library, you start to retrace RTM's original steps instead of moving parallel to them. This is interesting and terrifying. I mean, there's one specific librarian that is almost required to be fought. I mean, I've tried to sneak past it like 5 times, and I kept dying. I mean, yeah, that wasn't exactly the best, but it took... Being me, I did not have that heavy suit. Remember, I wasted all my money on the radiation suit I didn't mean? It took a lot of planning and everything to actually take that thing down. I eventually managed to scrape enough money for a bunch of claymores. I tried to get them all set up. I barely survived that fight, but I finally managed to take that one librarian down, and after that, I managed to get through the rest of the library pretty much okay. Of course, that can definitely vary with difficulty levels and stuff like that. I have to stress that. Even still, though, most of the other librarians can be snuck around or stared down, which if you remember from the first game, you had to do that. Because of the stare at their eyes mechanic, seems to work much better in this game than the last, which I always tried to do but always ended up failing and just frickin' running for my life from these guys. It can be extremely tense when a librarian is standing 5 feet in front of you and your only effective defense is to stare it in the face while it roars at you and hope it doesn't decide to suddenly charge at you. That is an incredible moment, really a lot of nostalgia there from the first game, and just a lot of fun. Well, Metro 2033 fans will be able to handle this. People who've never played Metro 2033 will be in for a little treat. I can imagine a PewDiePie of this, actually. Sometimes I think, though, that because we already faced librarians in the last game, that they have lost some of their terror. As a result, this may be a little better experience for new fans than it is for old fans, and I mean, things sort of lose their luster a little bit. I feel that this area missed an opportunity for some cool gameplay mechanics, though. I want a sort of what-if scenario here. Very few enemies are actually from Last Light. 3 of the 5 total enemies in this DLC, and yeah, there are only 5. 3 of them are ported from Metro 2033 and actually weren't even in Metro Last Light. So, that's interesting, actually. I actually really like that. That's pretty interesting that they did that, but anyways, the walls of... I would have loved to see something like spider bugs breaking through the walls of the library basement, something like that, where the librarians kind of nest. Have some sort of battle between the spider bugs and librarians, possibly giving you opportunities to sneak by undetected while they both fight it out. Stuff like this. It just seems like a missed opportunity there to have something really cool like that happen. After all, they stress it a lot that the library is a lot different than when you were there, and the entire thing is about Metro Last Light is the world's changing, the sky's clearing up every now and again, you can see the sun every once in a while, things like that. The entire point is change. I want to see some change from the original librarians being there to like other creatures coming up to the surface and fighting with them. Kind of like that demon librarian battle in the first game. Anyways, this is a good time to mention that this is also buggy. See my pun there? Spider bugs, buggy. Okay, yeah, I know, I'm horrible. Never mind. I was walking along, jumped across the ledge to a pipe that I actually walked along in the first game. I just, crawl along the pipe, kind of over the librarian's area. It was a nice little way to get a little better view of stuff. So I was crawling along the pipe, and then suddenly I just fell right through it. I mean, I tried it again later, it fell at the same spot, so apparently this is not really a one-to-one copy of the first library there, huh? Additionally, a glitch made it impossible for me to get every artifact because one of them was not there. I'm not sure why or where it could have glitched to, but it was not where it's supposed to be. After searching forever, I just looked it up. It was not there. As far as I can tell, I mean, I know there is a physics system, but I didn't see any way that the physics could have done, like, maybe flung it into another room or something like that. Just, I don't know. So, that, I actually could not get every artifact on my first playthrough. So, that is a little disappointing to me. They really could have bug tested these things a little more. I really think they should have done that. They add in optional objectives too, though, which is really also pretty cool. Like finding the ranger that you were sent to replace, who had been carrying a crossbow and night vision goggles when he died. I eventually found him, but I failed to find his crossbow. I mean, I found him and he had night vision goggles on. That was pretty... I liked having those. Those made things a little easier. But, although, to be honest, it was never really dark enough for me to really need them. Anyways, the crossbow, though, I'm not so sure about. There was no crossbow I could find, so either it glitched, or they're referring to crossbow, which they specifically say in the game, crossbow, which is actually the gun that shoots the crossbow bolts, which I did find. I'm not sure what that means. I mean, I would not call that a charged up, pieced together weapon that shoots bolts with compressed air, not strings or anything, a crossbow. That's not what I would call a crossbow. But this is the future, so whatever. Okay, you can clearly tell that this mission is what 4A put all their efforts into. It took me roughly 3.5 hours to beat, maybe 4 hours, which is actually a better price per content ratio than the main game, if you can believe that. But also, unlike the other DLC missions, this one actually had some replay value. I mean, yeah, going to search around and stuff is actually pretty interesting. There's some, I mean, it's kind of linear in a way, but it's also open world and everything. I don't know. Hard to explain that. Your call on whether you would consider this open world. It's certainly nothing like DayZ or something like that, Skyrim or anything like that. Maybe open world in the sense of what, like, maybe Hitman or something is. Hitman Absolution, of course, I'm talking about not. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know the old ones are all giant open worlds stuff, but more open world in the sense of what, like, a BioShock mission is, the original BioShock. That would probably be a better example. Anyways, it does have some replay value, has a few secret areas and stuff. I'm honestly not sure how many secret areas because, I mean, I can't get through all. I'm sure I didn't find everything in my one playthrough of it, but it was decent. I think there is some replay value there, especially if you didn't get all the artifacts the first time around, since to end the game, all you need to do is find the final artifact. But, okay. It was certainly different, but why call this the Factions DLC if the only faction you're going to put into is the Rangers? And even that didn't have a story, and they specifically marketed this as a story DLC. Also, yeah, wasn't the point of this DLC to show the other faction's point of view? Show the Nazis' point of view, why they're trying to do all this, show the Reds trying to unify the Red Line and all that crap. You know, show a little more substance, I would say. Wasn't that the point of this? It pretty much has no story at all. I mean, that last mission, the Ranger mission, kind of fleshes out the world a little bit. Kind of shows, I mean, you can get a good before and after of the library, which is pretty interesting, but it's not any story, per se. So, I don't know, maybe that'll tie into future DLC, because you do end up finding, this isn't really a spoiler, but your goal, the final thing that you would be able to find, is a secret underground map. So, anyways, you won't learn anything about the other factions from this. None of the three affect the story in any way. And nah. Is it worth $5? I would say yes. Stalker is pretty much a love it or hate it game. I actually hated Stalker, but I managed to get through this because of the slightly more forgiving systems that they put in place. There are some there are some roguelike elements which are good because they're roguelike, but they're not too roguelike. You do lose all your progress if you die. If you die there, but you start back from the last time that you went and saved at your base. By saving, that means basically you go into another room, which is a short little cutscene where you walk basically into the main station of Polis. And, I don't know, go get a good night's sleep or something like that. So it's roguelike, but not fully roguelike. Kind of a mandatory checkpoint system, I don't know. Whatever you want to call it. Manual checkpoint type system. You can decide when to save or not. I'm sure somebody's going to try and go through the game without doing any of that. So, I like it, but I don't know. I would probably give this DLC a maybe 7 out of 10, probably. The Ranger mode does make up for a lot of it, so. Okay, I'm going to go edit this part in here because I forgot to mention this earlier. The render distance is a problem. The engine was clearly designed to be used in these tight corridor tunnels and all that, with the occasional outside area which had a lot more detail than this did. I had a lot of problems with render distance, and I'm going to be uploading this. I'm going to put this little video in the clip in here while I'm talking about sort of how the render distance kind of falls off. It can kind of break immersion, but it's not a huge deal. I mean, you can get past it. Just, it is kind of awkward looking out the window. Also, it's pretty awkward that the rain stops falling when you look out the window. Just want to point that out. Kind of a little bit immersion breaking there. Anyways, the first Metro Last Light DLC is a mixed bag. I see the Ranger mission as a testing ground for future Metro games or DLC, stuff like that. I mean, it's a lot like Stalker. I think this is more of a test. I mean, a lot of the people from 4A actually worked on Stalker, the original Stalker. And I think this is a really big test to see kind of how this type of gameplay would work on this engine and with this new, more modern crowd. And on a game that was really designed to be linear FPS. So, with 3 more DLCs planned for release, the Tower Pack, Developer Pack, and the Chronicle Pack. I'm definitely looking forward to the Developer Pack. I want to see what that is, because they give a pretty cryptic message of what it actually is. They have plenty of opportunities to expand on this and improve the quality of their level design here. Quality is basically the main problem with this DLC, and that's probably where I'm taking most of the points off for this. I hope to see more of Metro, and I will definitely be reviewing the other future DLCs. I might be recording a Let's Play of this, depending on the circumstances. It'll definitely be a lot easier than my Amnesia or Game Dev Tycoon videos. They will also probably be shorter, so that's a thing to consider. I'm not sure whether people would prefer shorter videos or longer videos. A lot of my videos have ended up being like 30 minutes long now for Game Dev Tycoon, So we'll figure this out over time. And to the 4 people who regularly watch this channel, what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Please subscribe to my channel by hitting the subscribe button right below the video. Tell your friends and watch my shows. And I will see you next time on the next Lightning review or whatever the heck next show ends up coming on. But anyways, I will see you all later, and goodbye.